beautiful Monday morning. Motivation Monday. Today it's all about mothers, mentoring mothers. In studio with us via Zoom, I've got Wairimu Kahoro. Wairimu, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, James. How are you today?
I'm very fine. Karibu sana.
Asante, I'm so happy to be here with you this morning.
I can see you're a very bright individual. You're smiling. You love bright colors around you. That's a good thing.
Thank you, thank you. We need it. We need it as mothers.
Yes, yes, we do. I'm just curious, on Facebook, you call yourself the Audacity Mentor. Why?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Okay. So when I was being coached to find out what my calling is as well, one of the things my coach was asking is, what message do you constantly have? What do you keep telling people all the time?
Yeah.
So our homework for that week was to watch our conversation. So I noticed that I talk a lot about your uniqueness. What's your difference? What's the thing that makes you stand out? So I did what a normal Kenyan would do. I went to look for synonyms and I found one of them was odd. And so I loved the odd because I also feel odd.
Yeah.
And then I just tweaked the word audacity, the one that's the one that means boldness. So it's just standing out in boldness using what makes you unique and different.
Wow. What drew you to mothers? Why mothers?
Well, okay, at first I thought I'll be a parenting coach because I ran our family business for now 23 years, a kindergarten. And so I wanted to be able to just help the parenting side of the business.
Yeah.
And so when I started, I didn't feel in sync doing both. And so one of the questions we were asked is, when are you most alive? Is when I'm talking to mothers, because we can relate with each other. And I left a very good job to run the family business.
Yeah.
And one of the struggles I personally had was now moving from earning an income to depending fully on my husband. So I imagined how many of us are out there who are struggling to depend on our spouses. So that's how, because you're told in the coaching mentoring, don't go too far from your story. And so I just looked into my story, looked at where I've been able to come from a place of struggle to at least a place where I feel more comfortable. So, it's been wonderful. This is my 7th year. So It's been so nice. I feel most alive when I'm talking to mothers because we see each other as women, not just mothers, as the ladies we were. And we even chuckle about our 18-year-old selves and where we were going then. Yeah, so I think mothers is because of my personal journey and my personal story.
Okay. There's something you've mentioned there that makes me curious. Are there a lot of women who are actually depending on their spouses? Because sometimes the picture that is painted is the women have been empowered, In fact, they're doing better than the men. So I'm curious to hear from you, because you're on the ground, you deal with this kind of mothers. Are they many?
Yeah, we are very many. We are very many mothers who, and mostly sometimes it's out of choice, where you decide after the babies have come that you want to spend time with your children. Unlike before, where we used to have people who are helping us at home that could be trusted, nowadays, we are full of fear for our children.
Yes.
So when you look at raising my child against following a career, you're like, let me take some time off and take care of my children, and then I'll find myself later when the children are older.
Yeah.
And so there are many of us. There are those who have decided to sacrifice, again, because of priorities at home, those who are not able to sacrifice their career. But there are many of us. There are very many. Yeah.
When I got married, my wife and I decided that when we get children, she would raise the kids. She would stay at home and raise the kids. Both of us were in the same career because we met in college, and that's exactly what we did. And I sometimes wonder why we don't look at that as a full-time job, because for me, I think it is the greatest job and the most important job on earth, because you're raising up the next generation. But sometimes I kind of feel like mothers are meant to feel like they're losing out on something because they've decided to stay at home and raise up their children. It's like, yani ulienda campus ndio kae nyumbani uraise watoi, ni kama unajiwaste. I don't know if you get a lot of that.
Oh, we get a lot of that. But what happens is also it's a mutual, like the way you said, for you and your wife, it was a mutual decision.
Yeah.
But then what happens is we don't have the money conversation as well, that I'm giving up
Oh.
my job so that I stay home. So how am I able to also have, I call it a DAM account, a DAM account, a don't ask me account. So mothers should have that. If you're staying at home, you should be able to have a small allowance. I call it the do not ask me account, so that you can be able to do whatever you want. If you
Yes.
need to catch up with your girlfriends, you can be able to go out with them without having to miss idea in a 1,000 all the time. It also just gives you dignity as a mother, that you're not always asking for everything. There are things that are personal to you. You want to spoil yourself sometimes, to just feel like, even though I gave up my career, I still feel my stay here as a mother is normalized.
Yeah.
There are mothers who are excited to stay home, but there are others who are staying because they must stay at home. Now, for those ones, a longer conversation has to be had, because you do not want them to be resentful or bitter,
Yeah.
because that bitterness and feeling resentful goes to the children. So I think it's nice when both spouses, especially where it's a spouse and a wife, have to have that hard conversation.
Yeah.
Where, okay, so I'm staying home, you're progressing with your career, don't look down on me, because that's what happens. You start, when things get harder, children start going to school.
Yes.
The husband sometimes starts feeling the weight. And so now it becomes, you don't even contribute anything. Instead of looking at why these children, there's an amount of money that we saved as a family because I stayed home. That's my contribution. The values that a mom gives,
Yes.
nobody else can give.
Very true.
As a school owner, one of the things that used to happen is when I meet mothers and they say, I'm just a mom, because their spouse is working and they are staying at home. And I used to tell them, you're actually doing a better job than the president of this country or any CEO anywhere. That's the hardest job in the world.
Yes.
And that's what I think for me, my calling is all around. It's just changing the mindset of the mother to see themselves the way God sees them.
Okay.
You're here for a reason. And that's a no regret, season in your life.
Very, very true. I'm just wondering, in your interaction with mothers, what are some of the other challenges that you see them facing in their journey?
Yeah. I think the biggest one is worth. Yeah. Where your worth is so beaten up. Yeah. And you feel like you're not useful because you're hanging around with children all the time.
What?
Your friends who probably, because your friends who probably you worked with, or like you said, you were in campus with, look at you and like, there you are, bright girl. You just decided to just stay home. Like, you're not using skills at home. You're using skills. You manage the house. And I keep telling the mothers who come from, especially stay-at-home mothers who now are finding themselves, for lack of a better word, there's work that you did at home. You're able to know what is missing from the kitchen. You are able to organize your day and know when the children are sleeping, when they are awake, what you can do. So you've been working. It's just that there is no remuneration at the end of every month. So mostly worth, feeling just beaten up. Your confidence is completely beaten up because in our country especially, we attach worth to education, to cars, to a big house. And at the end of the day, all a mom wants is to feel respected, to feel dignified, even if there's a zero amount in the ATM. As long as you're treating her with the dignity she deserves, that's all, as mothers we would ask for.
I'm just wondering on that aspect, Wairimo.
Yeah.
Are there things the spouse may be doing without realizing that could add to their wife having that low self-worth? Maybe things we say, maybe things we do.
Yeah, sadly, yes. Because, I was fortunate. I have a good support system. I have wonderful parents, siblings, and an excellent spouse who never, ever made me feel guilty. In fact, I was feeling guilty for myself. So what I found, in the course of my work is the person who you love the most in this world is the one who beats you up, because they look at you and say, there's no financial contribution that you're bringing here. Umejiachilia. Umejiachilia, you're not the kifaranga, that's the way I met you. That's not the way you are. as opposed to looking at the beauty of if there's even a body change, it's because I brought a baby into this world.
Yeah.
And what I always say is, if you need for your wife to change, let it be a teamwork, and let it be also a conversation that's had, because I've had many mothers who have been given the pressure by their spouses that this is not how I met you.
Wow.
And so part of what we do for me is we go back to that 18-year-old girl, the 21-year-old girl before marriage. Also, where was she going? What was she dreaming about? Let's start there before we, now come to the current. Where were you going? Because sometimes as mothers, we also put aside our dreams. And and sometimes we are reminded that, you used to work, used to look nice, used to wear heels, used to, So all that being beaten up, instead of just having a conversation. And that's why I'm saying the DAM account is very important. Just having a little money you can give your wife so that she can be able to buy what she wants. If she doesn't want the heels, it's her who doesn't want the heels. So just ask her, what are your goals? What are your dreams? You've supported me. How can I support you as well? It's your time now.
Wow.
So that you don't say later on that I thought you had no dreams or desires in your life, and that's why you're where you are today.
Okay. I have a message here from Jiro. Jiro says, I'm loving the conversation. You say, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I relate. Rimo is my mentor. I was so miserable, almost suicidal at some point, and I'm thinking, what are you talking about? So do you meet quite a number of mothers who get to this point where they're almost suicidal?
Yeah, but also mostly it's because, you see, now the friends that you used to hang around were related to maybe education or work. So when you leave work, it's like they assume you don't have a mind, you can't think anymore. So a lot of moms have no one to talk to and to just say their truth, without feeling judged. And so what happens is any mom mentor or anyone who deals with mothers just gives a safe space where mothers can just scream. I keep telling them, scream if you want to scream, because I get you. I was there. I was in screaming mode, because who will I tell that even though my husband is providing everything that I want, even though I'm comfortable, I have wonderful children, that I'm still feeling unfulfilled in my life. So having a place where you can just share that these are the dreams I deep down have. Right now we are working with a mother who even 500 bob she can't get from her spouse, but she's supposed to stay home and take care of everything.
That's sad.
So when we are having conversations, it's the first time you see somebody who never smiled before smiling because they are hard. They are hard.
That is just sad. I remember quite some time back, I don't know whether I was watching something or I was reading something, and this mother was saying that sometimes what our spouses need to understand is sometimes I just crave for a conversation with an adult, because I have been with children the whole day, telling them do this and don't. And so by the time I'm coming to the end of the day, I'm just done. If I could just have a conversation with an adult, I don't know if that's a reality for a good number of mothers.
Yeah, it is, because the assumption is because I've been home, I don't know what's happening outside these doors.
Yes.
Or I'm not interested in anything, that now my life just revolves around the children. But our interests never change. Our desires never change because the children have come. We've just temporarily shelved them. Or we are still working on them slowly. It's just that the biggest priority is the children. So what happens is, because in the office side, there's a lot of mental stimulation and thinking about so many topics. When your husband comes home, first he's probably tired. But it's just nice to just have 5 minutes of hello, how was work, so what's happening? Or can you imagine, I share my can you imagines from the day, because there are things I'm also watching and listening to and learning from home. Just because I'm not in an office setup, it doesn't mean that there's no learning happening. What I would say is the best place for any husband, especially anyone that's listening today, is start from what are her interests. Start there. Instead of engaging in some things which may not be of interest, start with maybe what she's already interested in, or when you met her, what was she interested in? Maybe that's a place to strike a conversation, because you don't want her to start being in a place of regret or losing herself, not identifying, who am I? I forgot who I am.
Okay. I know one of the things you do is you you help mothers to clarify their purpose. We'll get to talk about that shortly and find out why that is important and how you do that. My good friend Martha Ann, it's good you're listening in today. You say, Hongera dear, listening to Wairimo. It's an assurance that I'm doing the right thing, influencing moms and future moms. Being a mom is my ministry. I foster moms in crisis and their children. Many call me crazy, but you have given me a new description. Audacious. Yes, Martha Ann, what you're doing is very important. Just keep doing it. If you identify with what we are talking about today, you have questions, you want to share an experience like Martha Ann, talk to us on 20316 for SMS. WhatsApp is 0786 316 316. It is Motivation Monday today. We are focusing on mothers getting to hang out with the audacious mentor. Irimo Kahoro is mom mindset and life mentor, and she's sharing her experiences with us. Jiro, how are you doing today? You say this is a great conversation. I've always wanted to be a stay-home mom, and I look forward to God giving me a family to do this. I've also met 2 men in my life who are stay-home and are doing homeschooling. This is such an encouragement. Thank you so much for that, Jiro. SMSs on 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. So, Irimo, I know one of the things you're big on is helping moms find their purpose. Why is that important?
Mostly because your calling is attached to why God created you as the individual. So one of the things that helps moms, get back to who they were before, or just a better version of themselves, is finding out, why did God create me in the first place? So we go through just looking at what are your passions, what are your skills, what's your spiritual gifts, what are all these things that collectively create what I call your odd factor. There's something that God created you for that only you can do in this world. For some others, it's stay at home, being a full-time mom. And that's okay if they clarify that that's what I've been created for. And they will not feel guilty because there's a lot of satisfaction in just caring for your children until they are all grown. So just discovering your calling is so that, for me, you stand before the Lord and he'll tell you, well done, good and faithful servant. So just knowing that you will get that message, it's good for you to clarify that you're actually on the right path, that the Lord would have you be on.
Okay. Many times when we talk about purpose and finding your purpose, there's always that financial aspect attached to it. And I've always wondered, does purpose always have to do with money?
Not really. I think it's what I usually say is you just start with where you are, and just think what lights you up already. And usually I tell mothers, your calling has been just next to your nose. You just don't see it. It's something like when people call you, what are they calling you for? Because there's a reason why they pick up the phone and call you. There must be something they know. If you call Wairimo, she will do this for me. She'll give me advice in this area. Or there's a mom who just loves catering, not because she studied it, and she just started a catering job because people came to her house and they said, oh, wow, I love your food. So it's just in the normal everyday things that people compliment you for. I keep telling moms that the thing that God created you for, look at the compliments that people give you. What are they around? Because if 10 people who have never met each other keep telling you that that you're good at this thing, then believe them. And I keep saying compliments are like God's way of just telling you something that they've seen God has put in you. So you don't always have to pay people like me to do this work. You can be able to go this journey alone. Just ask 5 friends to tell you 5 things that they love about you. And you'll find there's some similarity in everything they are saying. The reason why mentors or coaches are important is because they keep you accountable. Because if you're going to say, this is what I'm going to do towards pursuing my calling and helping these people that God has given me to influence, then I keep them accountable. So mostly it's just clarifying and just keeping them accountable is mostly our biggest work.
Okay. I know you have that. I know you must have that story probably you like sharing of a mother you've worked with, and they were able to connect with their purpose and their passion, and this just transformed their lives. We want to hear that story.
Wow, okay. Maybe I shared my first two clients, I think, because they are such success stories for me. For one mom, again, she was just recommended to me by a friend who I had mentored. And she just came. She was looking for a job. She was like, I'm ready to look for work. And when we discussed, right now, as we are speaking, she runs two companies.
Wow.
And in Kenyan words, she's earning six figures. Not dollars, in Kenyan money.
Yes.
And just to see, and what happens, another thing that happens is struggle. Now marriage, because I used to be dependent on you, now I'm okay, I'm contributing to the house, there's a lot of intimidation. So I'd say, just seeing that marriage is working, because that's important. Family needs to work. And I keep saying, even to mothers, that even though you're going to grow financially, you're going to grow in confidence, it doesn't mean that now you start showing up with pride or arrogance in the home. That's not why you're working towards knowing yourself. So what I'm proudest of these two mothers, one is now she's still working from home, but she's working and earning money. The other one is also a school owner like me. And I just met her in a time where she wasn't sure that's the right business, and just clarifying that for her. She's still running her school, and she started doing she's not a coach as well, but she's also running other like farming. So also opening up minds that we don't have to just do, our calling is not just one. Some of us are multi-passionate, multi-gifted. You can also pursue many things at a time. I think the other ones are just mothers who still stay home with their children, because their assumption is always it has to be a business. But it's just having confidence in who you are and being sure me I was created to stay here at home, taking care of my children, and feeling that that's enough.
So sometimes there's that battle, newly married, you're climbing the corporate ladder, and there's that battle between, okay, do I keep pursuing my career, or do we start getting children? Because it's almost like the children will slow me down. And I know some couples who decide, what, let's just pursue this career thing. Ukifika pale, ndio tutafikiria mambo ya watoto. So do you ever meet ladies who are married in that space where, okay, they're believing God for children, but they're also struggling with their career bit? What are some of the experiences, and what do you tell them?
I think I've met a combination. I personally also waited a little bit because first I wanted to know my husband as himself before the children just come, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. We'll meet 20 years from now and I won't know who you are. But I think it's what happens is depends on the income again in the household. It's not everybody who has the luxury of saying, I just want to stay home. There's sometimes no assurance that there'll be an income that can support me and the children. And so some of them opt to, can I work, make sure we have savings, make sure we have like an income that is constant, even if I'm staying home, that we are assured no matter what, we'll always be able to have money to take care of our family. So I think the biggest decision that determines whether a mom will continue with her career or she'll stay home to maybe now start a family is usually a money decision. More often than not, it's a money decision.
Okay. What about cases where your spouse is not supportive? I don't know if you've ever worked with mothers who their spouses are not supportive. How do you navigate through that?
Many. And usually what happens, our natural thing to do is to want to change our spouses. Now that we know who we are, we know what we are dreaming about. But I look at it differently, and I say, pray, tell God to help you become the woman he also needs, so that we don't just always look at changing the other person, when we have logs in our eyes. So how about removing the logs first? That you tell God, please work on me, because probably I'm also not the wife that he needs for the place that he's also being sent by the Lord. So I always say, look inwards, be introspective, and look inwards and say, who do I need to become so that I'm the best support system for him? And who do I still need to become, even if he doesn't support me? that I'm still here doing the work that God has given me. I also say find a good support system, a place where, and not people who will just say leave the marriage like it's it's a place where you go to abanda to eat together. It's not that easy. When you've made a vow before the Lord, you take those vows seriously. So even if your spouse is not supporting you, and you're very clear that this is what God would have you do it. Be joyous. Be that girl that he loved, because there must be qualities that he saw in you when he loved you the first time. So as you're evolving into a better version of yourself, he'll start seeing the spark in your eye. And for most marriages where there wasn't a supportive husband and they did the work, their spouses have seen that spark and come back. And so marriages are also being transformed when the wife knows who she is, not because she's married or because she's a mother, but who she is in Christ.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I'm just wondering, Wairimu, do you also work with single mothers? And if you do they present different challenges as opposed to those mothers who are in a marriage relationship?
Yeah, originally I used to say I'm the wife mom boss mentor, but then I realized there's this group of mothers who also need a support system and who need to be cheered. And so for the single moms I've worked with, I found, because they have no one else, they just have they are the parent, and so they actually have no time to second guess themselves or to feel pity on themselves, unlike us who have people who can, cheer us or just feel our ways. For them, I find that single parents, because they have no time to feel pity on themselves, they are so focused on their children. Maybe years later is when they'll probably fall into that place of, I wonder what my calling was. But in the meantime, they are level-headed. The single moms I've met are level-headed. They know where they're going and they do whatever it takes for their children. The only place where they find there is a gap is where I keep encouraging them to find a male figure who will add value to their child's life, and especially if, whether it's a boy or a girl, it's nice to surround yourself with a male figure who your child grows also seeing a good influence, because that also affects the child's relationship with God. Because if they think God is absent or God is not loving, then they behave that way. So that's the only part I think I add for the single moms, but they are doing excellent.
Okay, great. So shortly we'll talk about, sometimes you get to that place where, you decided staying at home, raising the kids, and you stay at home. You put your career on pause, and you raise your kids. Your kids are grown up, now you're thinking, I need to pick it up, but then where do I begin? Because the landscape has changed totally. I don't know if you interact with mothers who are in that space. What are some of the challenges they experience, and how do you help them to navigate through that so that they can find their footing? We'll talk about that shortly. It's 7:45. We are discussing mothers. Today it is all about mom mindset and life mentorship where mothers are concerned. We're hanging out with Wairimu Kahoro, the Audacity coach. I like that one. If you have any questions for us, 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Today we get to hang out with the Audacity mentor, Wairimu Kahoro, in studio with us via Zoom. She is a mom mindset and life mentor. Wonderful things she's sharing with us today. My pastor, who was here the previous hour, you say, hi, James, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and most stay-at-home moms feel like they don't make a big contribution to the family. What most of them don't realize is that bringing up a whole child, one with values, healthy, spiritually upright, can never be quantified to any amount of money that she can bring on the table. They give something that can never be quantified in monetary terms, and I really respect her for that. And I believe that what she does is more valuable than any amount of money that you could bring on the table. I have to keep her informed and assured that what she does is valued. Reverend Bernard Warui, thank you so much. I wish there were more men like you. Another one here from Sarah in Nakuru. You say, a big up to every stay-at-home mom. I'm a product of a stay-home mom. Thank you, Sarah from Nakuru, for sharing that. Back to you, Wairimu. I was saying earlier, sometimes you make this decision and you get into it wholeheartedly. And you raise up these children. You raise them up. this many years, they become teenagers, they go to college, and you're thinking, now I can go back to my career, only for you to realize things changed. The career you are in is not how you left it. And you get to a place where you don't know what to do. Do you work with moms in that kind of a scenario, and what do you tell them?
I haven't worked yet with a mom who wants to go back into workforce, but I have moms who want to maybe start a business.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who mostly come to me, which is similar. It's just that they are self-employed, not other employed. And I've also met retirees, like they've worked for people, and now they're like, okay, so I've raised my children, so what is now? I want to do my thing. So the place where I would say is important for all moms to begin is to do like an audit of their life. The simplest is relationships. When it comes to being a mother, if I was to rate myself from 1 to 10, where am I at? If you say 8, then that's a good mark. So you just decide, so what does 10 look like when it comes to being a mother? So then you create a plan. When it comes to being a wife, where am I? Then give yourself a rating. If it's 5, you have work to do, because now you have to define what 10 means. So when it comes to, and that's where you start finding out the places where you need to work on. If it comes to maybe your relationship with God as well, where am I at? Because the more connected with God, the less lost you feel. So what I would tell, I've not worked with a mother yet who wants to go back into the workforce that way, but we start with an audit. So what that does, it gives you awareness of where you're at in life, and it tells you how much work you have to put in for you to reach that place where you feel fulfilled. What I found out is when we've done that test of till 10, is then a mother will start feeling, this is too big for me to handle. I don't even know whether I can handle. So what we usually do is now the mindset work, because it means you have all these stories that you've convinced yourself over the years that you can't be able to do. People have told you, the environment around which you are around has convinced you that because you are not working for all these years, you are not relevant. So helping a mom remove all those limiting beliefs and change them into empowering beliefs by showing them, being a stay-at-home mom or a mom who wasn't working full-time to take care of their children, there are skills you gained. It's just the environment was house, not office. But so just helping them understand where they are at right now, and then helping them create a plan towards now what fulfillment means to them. And you'll find it's not everybody who starts a business or goes back to work after that, because they just need to be assured that they are okay.
Do you ever come across women who got married early? Early being that maybe straight from high school, or halfway through campus they didn't finish because they met this man, fell madly in love, and this man could provide for all their needs. And now here they are, they're mothers, and they're trying to figure out, so, by the way, who am I? Because even people don't call me by my name, they call me so-and-so's wife. It's like you've lost your identity. You don't have a career per se, that you came out of from. So I wonder if you meet mothers like that, and how do you direct somebody like that?
I have, and those are the majority. Who loved so hard.
Yes.
And in fact, I hosted one the other day, and she was just giving an example of how she didn't even listen to the mom, because the mom was like, finish your schooling first. But love. So she didn't finish. She just went, got her babies, and I met her when she was pregnant with her baby. So we agreed, just first allow the baby to come, and then we will catch up later. But what happens is, I think the promises that you're given and your personal expectations are so high.
Yes.
And then when you find, okay, the reality is not the same, you just get deflated and feel, was it a mistake? And that's where I was saying the place of regret. If you want having conversations, when will I finish school? You just assumed that now that you're a mother, you'll be taken care of forever. But the reality of the diapers and the paying a house help or whatever, comes into the house when you're young, you're like, oh, wow, love can't buy everything. There are things it cannot do. So when we are dealing with the identities, just working on who are you before, again, who are you before you got married? What do you love? Even now when you're married, what makes you laugh and smile, even in the midst of whatever painful experiences or struggles you're having? And when you make a mom smile, you find the woman. Yeah. And that's the one that needs to have all these mindset shifts. Again, what happens when you're young is people encourage you have children and make sure they patana so that you finish quickly. But then no one comes to sponsor your family and to pay for all the expenses that come. But what I find is the younger lady is more excited to change and to pursue newness than the older lady. The older lady is like, I cannot be helped, or they used to say in composition, old dogs. Yeah,
can't learn new tricks.
Let old dogs lie. Yeah, so the older mothers are actually harder to convince that you can actually do much more. You can step up. There is more in you. The younger ones are excited already because they are tired of the home much faster than the older ones. So theirs are they are the easiest. I've had mothers who come to class breastfeeding, and the babies, we call them the audacity babies.
Yes.
Yeah, they learn along with their mothers.
Wow, that's nice.
So you can learn
as we
as
finish,
Wairimo,
have you ever met a mother who, sometimes you have men who are insecure.
Yeah.
You know, I remember once hosting a lady who, she had really progressed in her career, but the husband had not. And it became an issue. Do you ever meet ladies like that? And what next for somebody like that? Where your husband wants to keep you home. Zawa Toto, because your career is a threat to them.
Yeah, I have met those, and again, a place of prayer, but if they can find work that they can do from the house, that they don't need to go outside, then they can do consulting, coaching, mentoring. They can consult on finances, whatever their gifting was, or their academic, whatever they learned academically, they still have skills. You know, being a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean the skills go away. So you can apply them at home. And that's what majority of the moms who have insecure spouses have done.
Great. Yeah. We are out of time. Thank you so much, Wairimo, for being our guest for today. By the way, you can catch up with Wairimo Kahoro on her Facebook page, The Audacity Mentor. Look for The Audacity Mentor on Facebook, connect with her, like her page, and get to interact with what she's doing. I think what she's doing is amazing. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much. God willing, we'll hook up again tomorrow on Jam 316.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.